So if you could tell me, please, were you born deaf? And how did it all come about that you went to the Michigan School of the Deaf from such an early age?
I was born deaf, and my parents are both deaf, so it is generational. When I was first born, my mother, she knew that if I was going to be deaf, I would go to the deaf school. If I was hearing, I'd go to the hearing school. But I'm hard of hearing, so I was in the middle, and Mom wasn't quite sure what I should do. Should I go to a hearing school or to the deaf school? They weren't quite sure. But my dad was hard of hearing growing up, and he said, no, I think it'd be best for her to go to the school for the deaf because that's who she is. So that's how they decided to place me there at the age of 2. And I'm really glad they made that decision.
Because it probably would have slowed down your learning if you went to a school for the hearing, right?
If I was placed into a hearing school, definitely I would have been behind with language. I wouldn't have been able to understand or pick up anything in the classroom. I wouldn't have been able to understand my teacher, and I wouldn't even have friends to be with because I wouldn't be able to understand anybody. I would be alone a lot. My mom, she went to an oral school, and she's completely deaf. She didn't know sign language growing up, and she was very isolated throughout high school, so she didn't want the same experience for me. So that's another part of the reason why I went to a deaf school.
Wow, that must have been so incredibly hard for your mother.
Yeah, but she's a great person.
So, how important is it for you that you were around a community of deaf people who made communication easy for you, that you had teachers that spoke to you in sign language? Also socially, how important was that for you?
Well, socially, being with the deaf community is very important to me. And that's because, if somebody doesn't sign and I'm there in the room, a room full of hearing people, there's no way that I could communicate or socialize. Who would I talk with, And I would miss out on a lot. But with the deaf community, everybody's like me. We're deaf. We can sign, we can communicate, and I can be myself. Now, for school purposes, I could, learn everything more quicker, direct learning through the teacher.
What is so special about the Michigan School for the Deaf? It seems to be very renowned.
Michigan School for the Deaf is special because it's a sense of community and a sense of belonging. You belong there. And it gives kids a sense of identity of who they are as a deaf person. And it gives them something to be proud of. Being proud of being deaf is so important.
What grades are taught at the Michigan School for the Deaf?
So it starts at pre-K at 2.5 years old and goes all the way to seniors. But it also has an extended program for those who need to continue after high school. I think it's the age of 26.
Wow. When did you start to realize that maybe you wanted to stay working with the deaf community and in fact become a teacher?
Well, after graduation, I was out with a lot of hearing people. I was out in the hearing world, and I felt alone. I didn't feel a sense of belonging. I worked retail store, and it was hard for me. I was always isolated. But with the deaf community, working in that situation, I can communicate at any time. I don't have to adjust my way of communication, and I can grow as well. There's more opportunities involved within the deaf community.
And what inspired you to go into the world of drama?
Well, growing up, I was involved with MSD's drama program and something that they put on every year called Singing Hands. So we would perform songs in ASL. So I did that since I was 8 years old, something I loved doing every year. An audience looking at me didn't bother me. I could be dancing looking like a fool, but I loved it. But now I see the kids, my kids, they're refusing to get up on stage. So I guess it's not for everybody. But that's where I started my performing career. So I enjoy drama and, the whole thing with signing. It's very fun.
I need to hear more about Singing Hands. Is it with music? Is it songs? And do hearing audiences come to watch the performance?
Yes, yes. So we did a lot of different songs. Every year we'd have a different theme. Like I did a theme one year of Back to the 80s. And so we did all 80s songs. So that was fun. And when I was little, we did a song called Peanut Butter by Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but that was the song that was it when we were kids. And so I signed that song. And, all the kids from kindergarten to high school would sing and would sign age appropriate songs. So, yeah.
Please explain to me how children that don't hear relate to music and how they learn songs.
Well, they can feel the vibration and the rhythm. They can feel that bass, And we'll always have the paper with the lyrics. We'll have that. And we practice and we practice and we practice with the timing. Some of the kids are totally deaf. And of course, we'll have somebody out helping and guide them on the right time to come in. But some of them didn't need that. They could do it themselves. So,
I'd love to see that.
yeah, it was fun.
Do you also, you're currently a drama teacher, yes?
Well, I'm more like the director it's an after-school activities club. So I just wrote the script. It's called Snow White and the Seven Deaf Dwarfs. So it's it's big comedy, and it's good because last year we didn't have school all year. We were virtual all year last year. The kids were not able to come to school at all. They had to stay home full year. So now we're doing this, and you can just see the excitement in the air. People are coming. They're looking forward. It's like it's magic. It's exciting.
That sounds like a play with dialogue, with scenes. Is that right?
Right. Yep. Exactly. Just like you would see if you're going to go see a play. It'd be the same thing. We just sign.
It seems like drama is a very natural thing for deaf people because whenever I've seen deaf people sign, they're so expressive.
Yes, yes. That is a benefit of being a deaf person. It is easy to act out things and different facial expressions and emotions. Yes.
Oh, it's great. Why is it important for deaf kids to engage in things like drama, to do things outside of regular school activities? Why is it important for them to expand what they can do?
Well, deaf children don't have a lot of opportunities already. Their opportunities are limited because, people think they can't hear and they can't do things. So stuff like this gives them something that they can see that they can do. They have sports and things like that. So it's good for the deaf kids for them to grow. If they didn't have those extra activities, what else would they be able to do? The internet? Can't just have the internet.
Oh, my God. And sports, of course, you would imagine that a deaf child could do, but drama and working with music is so unexpected. I think it's,
Yeah, yeah. We've been doing singing hands for years, like since the 70s, I think. Yeah.
so how does it make you feel when you see a child grow in their ability and transform?
It feels so good because most of them are afraid and timid and shy. They're not confident within themselves. And then, maybe I show them a part of the act that's really funny and I encourage them to get them more comfortable in their own skin. And it gives them confidence. And it shows them that you can have fun too. You can laugh with it. So that part's very important.
It must be challenging for many deaf kids to get confidence, right? To feel comfortable not only answering questions in class, but performing. I mean, performing is huge for anyone. I can only imagine for a deaf child, it must be a very big deal.
Yes, it's a huge deal. This week I told them, we're going to have a company come out and film. And they're like, they're shocked. Oh my God. But, they prepare now, get used to things.
Does the Michigan School of the Deaf also teach students from outside of Michigan, or they must, or from outside of Flint?
So it's only for the state. Michigan School for the Deaf is only for Michigan. So if a student is from Traverse City, then yes, they can come to Michigan School for the Deaf and they can stay in the dorm and go home on weekends.
So nice.
Yeah.
How long have you been, how long ago did you graduate? And how long have you been the drama director? And how do you feel about it?
Well, I started being involved in directing. I started at a young age, a young adult, maybe in 2009. And I'm just thinking, how long have I been doing this for? Maybe over 10 years, maybe 12, 13. Yeah. And it's fun, and I enjoy putting together shows, and it gives the parents something to look forward to with their kids doing, being proud of their kids and looking at their kids being creative and being able to express themselves.
So this exhibit that you are participating in is all about the people of Flint, Michigan, and people from many different backgrounds. And I think it would be so special for you to tell us a story about the challenges of growing up with a deaf mother and a deaf father and being deaf yourself, and so that we can understand how you overcame it and how it makes you feel to do all the things you're doing and help other kids.
Well, growing up, I didn't have the issue of feeling as if that, I was behind because everybody was deaf. I went to the deaf school, my family was deaf, but when I went out into the world, it was a culture shock. Hearing people made me feel small. I didn't really feel comfortable. And so I did have a point in a phase where I pretended I couldn't hear anything at all. I was just deaf because I just didn't want to use my voice. I didn't want nobody to know I could hear, just I am deaf. Later on, I was able to really kind of identify with my hard of hearing self and know that, I can speak and I can hear a little bit, telling people that I'm deaf, people are like, you can talk. What do you mean? So it's something that I struggled with, my identity. I am hard of hearing, but I feel deaf. So, okay, so I am hard of hearing, yes, but I identify as a deaf person. So I think it's important for deaf children to know who they are and to be proud of who they are. If they can hear somewhat, then that's fine. The important thing is just to own it and be yourself, and that's the most important thing.
That's great. Is that, do you think that in some ways it was easier for you because you came from a family of deaf people? And do you think that finding your identity and pride is one of the biggest hurdles or achievements?
Yes, yes, yes. It definitely helped me to have a deaf family. If it wasn't for my mom, I really don't know where I would be. I don't know if I would be here doing this drama. I would probably be a different person for sure. But deaf babies, 90% of deaf babies are born to hearing parents. So parents that know no sign language at all. And so they don't know what to do. Their babies are deaf. And so that what you would say that maybe those 90% don't know sign language at all and struggle with their identity until an older age. I know a lot of people who grew up oral and they didn't know sign language at all until they were an adult and they finally learned sign language then, at 21 or later. So it happens a lot, more so than you know. I'm fortunate because I had a family of deaf people already.
Oh my God, how hard to be cut off from communication.
Yes, yes. And it's not, I don't say it's just totally cut off, but they try to teach you how to speak. They don't want you to sign. They want you to learn to speak, and that's it. And that's how they communicate. They want their child to look normal. They want them to seem as if they're hearing so they can fit in with their peers.
I'm sure you have many things, but what are some of the things that you would like hearing people to know about the deaf community?
My biggest advice for the hearing community to know about the deaf community is don't apologize for not knowing sign. It's okay. A lot of people are curious. They're going to be curious and ask questions about sign and, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know. I mean, that's normal. But really, it would just be cool if they, I can't even think exactly of the words to use here. I can't think of anything right now.
Is part of what you would like hearing people to know is that deaf people are the same in many ways? Some hearing people haven't had much exposure to someone who can't hear. So it would be nice to know, I don't know, do you want people to know that you are all, do you know what my question is?
Yeah, so if a person is hearing and they run into a deaf person and they don't know what to do, I suggest you take your phone out, text them, write a message. Be, proactive. Deaf people really appreciate if a hearing person is willing to text or write back and forth with them. And sometimes hearing people just refuse. Oh, well, too bad. And, some people are like that. But we would just truly be appreciative if you would just be willing to communicate. It helps a lot.
That was so valuable, what you just said. And it's true, we all have our phones, we can all text. That's really fantastic.
Yeah.
That's really fantastic. Generally speaking, do the students at the Michigan School for the Deaf, do you think that they have hearing friends? And is that common? Is that easy to do?
Some, perhaps. Some of the kids there come from deaf family. Just everybody's deaf, so maybe they don't. But it really just depends on your home life. Maybe some of them go to church and they're hearing peers there. So it really just depends on what's going on at home.
It seems like such a blessing, really, to have found yourself at a school like this that was so supportive and such a safe place to evolve and grow.
Yes, yes. MSD made me feel confident with who I am, and I wasn't embarrassed or ashamed to be who I am. And I found myself being more comfortable socializing with hearing people now because it's just who I am. I just let them know, hey, I can't hear very well. I'm hard of hearing. And, we just go with it. So I don't let it become a barrier.
Fantastic. Is Flint a gathering for the deaf community because of the school?
Yes, really. There are a lot of deaf people in Flint. We have, Michigan School for the Deaf, and we also have the Flint Association for the Deaf, which is it's a deaf club. And they they host different events. Like tomorrow, we're having a St. Patrick's Day party, and I'm be doing some serving there. But, we have a community here. This is probably even more than anywhere else in Michigan. Flint has a bigger deaf community. And it's nice, to be able to go into Starbucks and somebody knows sign language. There's a lot of people here who knows a little bit of sign language, and that's really nice for me.
That's amazing. How do you sign Flint, the word Flint?
This is an F. Flint.
How about Michigan?
MICH. So we just say Mich for Michigan. We don't do that. We're not doing Michigan. But we do use our hand a lot. Flint is here. And so, yeah, we
Yes.
do use our hand a lot in locations.
I've had
in the
other
city of Flint.
friends that come from Michigan. They're always telling me where on the hand they are. Yeah.
Yes, we do too. Yes.
So your students in the drama department, are they all ages, from very small to adult?
Well, this year we decided to do third grade and up. So we've got third graders to seniors. We will do this again in the fall. And we're thinking we're probably going to add the littler kids in. It changes every year, but we definitely include from elementary to high school.
So maybe you can't answer this question. I'm just curious about the school. Do you think that a school that is for the deaf is teaching things in a different way? Obviously, with sign language, yes. But do you think the subject matter is different or tailored somehow to the students in a way that's different from other schools?
Yes, well, we believe in a by approach, which is bilingual, bicultural approach. And so the teachers there, they sign in full ASL because that is our language. But they emphasize English as well, writing and reading. And all of that is included, both in English and ASL. So it's important that they learn them at the same time so that they can be comfortable in their signing and as well as in English too.
So that's actually an enhanced program. It's more, I don't know, comprehensive, I guess, than most kids get in school. That's very nice.
Yeah.
What is your wish for kids that are born or become deaf? What is your hope that maybe people didn't have when you were growing up or that your parents didn't have?
I think all deaf babies deserve to learn American Sign Language. They deserve to have a family who knows their language and accept them for who they are. That is the biggest thing. Because if they don't learn sign language in the first 5 years of their life, they're delayed in their language forever. You know, that 0 to 5 is the most important time for language acquisition and development. So I encourage people, if you have a deaf baby, learn sign language and sign with your child.
Oh my God, yes, absolutely. And the whole family and anyone really that loves that little child.
Absolutely. I encourage that, definitely. This child, needs to know that they're important too and they accept them for who they are.
Because I'm sure all children are insecure, all children lack confidence. I'm sure this is especially an area that's especially hard for a deaf child.
Absolutely, yes. Because they see it every day that they're not the hearing person. And so at least if you signed with them, they could feel included because they're already struggling every day.
Did you, what would you say about the teachers at the Michigan School of the Deaf?
So you mean when I was growing up? Well, the teachers were really great. I had one teacher, my English teacher in high school, taught me idioms. And I was like, what is idioms? Things that hearing people say. But then they taught me these things and what they meant because, we don't say that in sign as deaf people. So those little things that, she taught me, I really appreciated. I really had a great teacher, good teachers growing up at MSD.
That's fantastic when you have someone that is going that extra mile to teach you something special.
Yes, definitely.
And I would say that you're probably very sensitive, or deaf people are probably very sensitive with recognizing facial cues, and there must be many things that you have that are more sensitive than hearing people have to figure out what's happening around you.
Yeah, like eating. We can talk and eat at the same time. Underwater, we could sign underwater. One thing is, those masks. Oh, that was a big part of our lives that were gone. I used to be able to go to an appointment without an interpreter, but with the mask going on, I definitely had to have an interpreter. So, yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I remember reading an article about during COVID and how hard it was for deaf people. And I hadn't thought of that before.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Facial and mouth movements, facial expressions and mouth movements is an important part of the ASL language.
Was it hard during the 2 years that we were all working out of home and apart from each other? Was it hard, do you think, for the teachers at the Michigan School for the Deaf to communicate with students? And obviously, the drama department was probably not active, right?
Yeah, it wasn't happening last year, no. So yes, it was definitely very hard. We had to use Zoom. They had to use Zoom for classes. And with deaf people, honestly, we have to use our eyes constantly, all the time. Hearing people can look around and listen and hear, and we can't. We have to look the whole time. So it was very exhausting for deaf kids on Zoom. It was a challenge. But, I'm glad that everything is back to normal, so it's good.
It's it's fantastic to speak with you because these are things that I wouldn't normally realize about how much you have to use your eyes and how important that is. It's important for hearing people to get that insight about what it's like for you and how to communicate better with you. The texting on the phone, that's a fantastic thing to know.
Yep. Yep. Texting on the phone and eye contact is so important. I can't have a conversation with you if you're not looking at me. I'm like, excuse me, look at me. Hello. So hearing people need to be aware of that too when they're around deaf people. You need to look at them when you speak to them and not looking away, holding a conversation. It's a big part.
Do you think that it's important for hearing people to understand that being deaf is okay, that you still enjoy life as much as anyone else, and that you still have the same ambitions as other people?
Yes. It is so important. We get so many times people say, oh, I'm so sorry you're deaf. And it's like, I'm fine. We're really okay. It's not like we're suffering. We're not sad about it. We're deaf people. That's who we are. The only thing that's missing is we don't hear, but we're happy. So no need to feel bad for a deaf person. No.
I'm trying to think of, I would love for you to say that again, and for the exhibit of the museum, it would be wonderful to hear you say, or to see you say, I'm deaf, but I want you, in your own words, I'm deaf, the deaf people have very happy lives, productive lives, to say what you said before, but sort of as a message to people that are going to look at the exhibit.
Deaf people don't feel like something is missing. No. We live our lives just the same as everybody else. We love life, and we're really happy.
Fantastic. Is there anything, so you know you will be a part of a tapestry of the people of Flint speaking, everyone with a different perspective. There will be people speaking about the auto industry, people of color, Native Americans, you representing the Michigan School of the Deaf.
Deaf community is huge here, so yes.
So this is a very important part of the tapestry of voices. Is
Yes.
there anything that you would like to say that we have not covered in this?
I can't think.
Do you think you will be, tell me how much you love being the drama director, and do you think you'll be doing that for a long time?
Well, I hope to continue with drama. I really enjoy doing it for the children. It really makes me happy to see them inspired and motivated to be involved and giving them an opportunity to perform. I really enjoy seeing that, yes.
Your facial expressions help me so much to understand everything you're saying.
See, I noticed that. I noticed that you understood before she even spoke.
That was really great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rosie.
Yeah, it was great meeting you.
I have a quick question. I'd be curious, what it'd be like the deaf community during the water crisis and how that impacted the community and if there were any challenges there.
The challenge is delayed information. Unfortunately, they were the last to find out about the Flint water crisis. We did a documentary in sign language about that, talking about Flint and the water crisis, and a few people were impacted with that. It's really, the problem was delayed information, where to get information. They can't hear it, so they weren't able to pick it up as quick as the hearing people were.
So you would, in this documentary that you made, you were telling people that this situation existed and what to do and how to check the water, that kind of thing?
So what we did in the documentary was just explain how it happened, how the whole mess started, and then went to the where the courthouse was. It was years ago, where they had where the city of Flint came out for a town hall and spoke their opinions and how they felt. So we documented that. Yeah.
This is very interesting that you do documentaries or announcements. Do you do this whenever there is something that happens that you want to communicate to the community? Do you make little sign language films?
Typically not, but at that time I was involved with a company named DPAN, Deaf Performing Arts Network, and it's set in Ferndale. And so we were doing the news, and this was a new company, and we wanted to spread knowledge to the deaf community. We have another company actually that's doing news called the Daily Moth, because deaf people really prefer to watch the news in sign language rather than to read it in English. So at that time, I was working as a reporter, and I reported on the Flint crisis. No, not so much. Maybe the person who's running the news will do that. So.
That's so interesting that deaf people would rather watch the news than read it.
Oh yeah, it's their native language.
That's great. So is Moth something that's on television?
It's called the Daily Moth. Yes, it's on TV. It's really on the internet. So people can watch it on their phones or their computers.
That's fantastic.
It's really nice to have access to information. It's nice to have access to information.
How lucky that now there's so much technology that didn't exist before.
Right. Before, it was a different time for deaf people. We had to use a TTY, where you put the phone on top of a big machine and type. It was very different. Now there's phones. Lots easier.
And the texting thing, that's fantastic.
Yes. When texting was first invented, it was for deaf people. So people are texting because of deaf people. It just got out there. Yeah.
I never knew that. That's great.
Interesting.
Fantastic.